Welcome to Tech This Way.
Anyway,
All right.
thanks for joining me on Tech This Way.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
No problem. I think we've bumped into each other quite a lot in the last many years.
Yeah.
And I thought it'll be interesting to really get to know you.
Okay.
And from what little I know, you started off in Petronas. After that, everywhere interesting, like MDEC and all that.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it to you to share your history and finally to Ataplas.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. I started my career in Petronas. Do I have to tell?
I won't mention the year.
It makes me look so bloody ancient, isn't it? So okay, so I started my career in Petronas, and honestly speaking, it was great that I started off from there. I think because Petronas being a big conglomerate oil and gas company, right? National oil and gas company. Obviously, when I joined, it was already quite a big giant in the Malaysian context, and it had already the processes in place, certain standards, and also the hierarchical mentorship structures and so on. So also I think for me personally, it was a very good basis, a very good base to start with, because you start with all that, and so when I left, I had that with me, so the training was very good in there. And at the same time, I think I was very, very fortunate because during my time in Petronas, I was actually involved in a corporate strategic study that was done by the organization with BCG at that time, and they were looking at the next 20-year future into what Petronas could be, So what I see right now, quite a lot of the things that's been put in place was one of it would stem out of that strategic study group, and on top of that, I think because I was in that group, so it gave me a lot of visibility and also close connection with within the top tier management. So the networking was fantastic and great, And then about I think 4 years in Petronas, I left because at that time, unfortunately, it did not have the talent retention framework, and I don't think it was just about Petronas. I think it was across the board. At that time, I think I would say the world of HR has not progressed as it progressed now, right? It's a very different landscape now, right?
You're very polite. What was the problem?
So I guess because I guess being one of the how shall I say this without sounding boastful, but macam masuk bakul agak sendiri kan, but I guess memang aku masuk bangkul sekarang so I suppose you were at that point, right? At that time, I guess I was recognized as being one of the I guess above average executive lah, right? But I think when it came to recognition and also doing appraisal time, then you have this bell curve thing and blah blah blah, So
you didn't feel appreciated and recognized.
Enough lah, I suppose. So I thought, okay, tak apa, and you are, who are you? Some lowly executive at the bottom there, So, and then by the time you want to reach the top, I think you're like, I don't know, 60 or something, uh, I mean, then I guess I wanted to. I was hungry, I guess, and I think. And I think it's just my personality whereby I don't think I can sit still, you know. And I guess being and also in Petronas because it's so big, so and it depends on which department you are in. Certain departments, you know, you're just so busy all the time, and there's certain departments, you know, it's very seasonal. So it just so happened I had a very seasonal job, you know, at that time. I was doing petroleum economics and modeling and all that, you know. So, and it's not every day you do modeling kind of thing, right? So it just gets quite frustrating, and I just was just, I suppose, very restless. So then I left, and and then you know, this new concept was presented by the PM then, Dr. Mahathir, you know, on multimedia corridor. So that's how I got into the initial team of MDC way back then. And so my role was to market and promote the multimedia corridor to the global world, you know, global market, you know, globally.
So what we know or don't know about MDEC at that time is your fault lah.
Ha ha ha, funny. Yeah, you know, but it's a very different animal from then, right? Obviously, it has evolved and progressed, and even the function and role of MDEC has evolved and is very different right now. You know?
Also, when you joined them,
yeah,
it must have been quite exciting, right? Because it's new and the direction was still quite fluid. How was that?
Yeah, it was a startup, you know. So and the thing is, I would, if you look at the core team then, right, we would live and die for the company, you know, because we felt so passionate about what we're doing. I remember days whereby I remember the first IAP meeting, you know, the International Advisory Panel meeting. Oh, that wasn't the second International Advisory Panel meeting that was held in Cyberview and Cyberjaya. It was, my God, you know, there were only a handful of us. We all worked around the clock. We slept in the office, you know. Yeah, it was very exciting, a lot of dedication. And we did all the work ourselves, you know, so we hardly outsourced anything. You know, maybe the only thing that we outsourced were you know, more of the event management kind of thing, more of, I would say, the technicalities, like the audio visual, blah blah blah, you know, only that bit, but the rest we did ourselves. So it was a very
nice.
Very neat, very I would say a team that moved and thought about the strategy, action plan, everything. So it was the core team that did the thinking, but it was also the core team that put a lot of the thinking into action, you know. Yeah. So then, I mean, from then on, then I move on to the private sector, and I was also part of the pioneering team of MDV, Mission Adventures.
Okay.
Yeah. For the first few years until I think just before Datuk Zubir came on board. Yeah, Datuk Zubir was, I worked with Datuk Zubir on, and then I left just before Datuk Zubir went on to become the CEO. Yeah. And then, and then I was on my own, doing lots of stuff. Yeah.
So this entrepreneurship kind of streak, if you like, kind of started after MDV, or was it something that you've always wanted to do and then decided to find the right time for it?
No, I think I think I always knew that I'm not fit to work in large organizations. That I knew, because I got frustrated very easily, you know. So I was frustrated with, you know, with I think layers of structures, you know, things that would hamper decision making. Yeah, it doesn't mean that I can't work in large organizations. I can, but I think I still prefer to work in nimble organizations, you know. And startups always excite me because you're starting with something new, and you're in control in a lot of things, So, and you're always doing new ideas and new things, right? But I think the entrepreneurship thing, mostly it was kind of like, I would say that I became an accidental entrepreneur,
How's that?
So yeah, so I think after I left MDV, I joined a group that was supposed to set up a fund, and it was supposed to be a regional fund. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I was in the group for about a year. Then it didn't happen for whatever reason. And then when I left, then that's when I came out, ventured out on my own. I did my own, I would say, strategic consulting work. So I did that for quite
what's
a
it called?
years. What's it called? Elaine and Co.
Okay.
No, not really. So it was, it was a company that I formed with my ex-husband. Yeah.
Okay. So you were just dabbling at that time to see what's
I
out there.
think, what's out there, but it's mostly, I would say, consulting in the sense that, because I think people know of my capabilities and what I'm able to deliver. So it was, I didn't really do much marketing for that, because I went on from one project to another because people just look for me, So,
and you've had that network already, right, from where you were in MDV and National.
Yeah, and I was very fortunate, I think, because of my exposure in MDEC or MDC then. And the exposure was not only with the government, but also with the private sector. And I think that's I would say that's one of my key strengths, networking. But it's not just networking, but it's also being able to deliver the work, So, yeah. So,
I guess the delivery it's a give, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be where you are.
Yeah, it's a must. You must. You can't just talk. Delivering. Yeah. Yep.
What's one big idea? That was an interesting long part of your history.
Yeah. So one big idea was the company that we use for a lot of the projects that we worked on. So it was just a consulting company. Yeah. So it's what we market and promote. What the vehicle we use for our consulting work. Yeah.
Did Atta Plus then came out from there?
I think no, it didn't come out from there. It came out from the idea. Okay, how it came about was this. All right. So Kiri, my business partner, who's also my ex-husband. So he actually came up with this idea prior to Atta Plus. So it was an idea of looking at how we can support micro entrepreneurs. Okay. So this was because he was looking at Kiva. If you know Kiva,
that's the donation thing, right?
Yes, correct. In the States, right? But they support a lot of these micro entrepreneurs all over the world. And we wanted to do a Sharia compliant version of Kiva. So we came up with what we call iSharaka. Okay. So it's the concept of working together, the crowd working together with entrepreneurs to support them in their business. Because if you look at even in the Islamic world, right? So there is the trading community in the past whereby the community actually supported traders. Yeah. So we got a grant from Cradle on this. And we did a nice model. It was a nice working model based on a Mudarabah model. And it was a limited Mudarabah.
Was this before the SC was going to issue the ECF?
Yes,
or
way before.
Okay.
Before SC thought about the framework, This was way back in, my God, it must have been way back in 2005 or something.
Oh, okay, way back.
Oh no, not 2005. Sorry, what am I talking about? sorry,
Early 2010 kind of thing.
sorry, 2011 maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, 2011. Now it's 2020, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The
So it's about 2011.
ECF was 2013, 2014?
2015, they issued
Hmm.
the registration. So I think the consultation paper came out about 2 years before that.
Hmm.
Or
And you were looking at this even before that.
yeah, even before that. So we came up with this, and it was a very, very nice model. And there were even the guys at Bank Negara liked it, you know, the development side of Bank Negara. But then when legal came in and payments came in, and they were like, oh, you know, they were talking about, oh, well, you know, have you looked at AMLA? Have you looked at KYC? And we were like, yeah, but people are going to be contributing 10 ringgit, 20 ringgit. I mean, you know, how much money laundering can you do? You know? So, but anyhow, I think we were too early and people didn't understand it. So that's when we decided to put it in the back burner. And then when SC came up with the consultation paper, that's when we rebooted the concept, the idea, went back to the SC, and then we submitted our application, and the rest is history. Yeah.
So where did the blockchain angle came into the picture for your solution? Because I remember of all the applicants, you guys were touting that compared to the others, right?
No, the blockchain angle only didn't come in at that point. It came in much later.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it came in a couple of years after that. Yeah, it came in, I would say, it came in 2015. I would say it came in about 15 months after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So how was the journey with Atta Plus then, with the application for the license and all that?
I think the application was okay. You know, we submitted, and I think I guess being the initial group that submitted the application, I think one thing great about the regulator, or specifically Securities Commission of Malaysia, I think they wanted the space to come up with more innovation. Yeah. And I think they are actually facilitating that. So they were very open to listen to ideas. I'm not talking about during the application side, but even as we progress since 2015, right? And that I very much appreciate, you know, or we very much appreciate. And I think after even talking to organizations who are doing research in this space, their comments or their inputs were, I think Malaysia has one of the most progressive, or that we are most progressive in terms of, especially in terms of fintech, specific to our capital markets, you know. So in that sense, we're very happy with our regulator to allow us to, you know, to actually inject innovation into this space. Yeah.
So then operationally with Atta Plus, after going live, how's that been so far?
I think for us specifically, the challenge is that we wanted to stay true to the essence of crowdfunding, okay? And I would say if you look at anywhere around the world, the way we observe how crowdfunding operators are implementing their business is I think most of them still think like a VC. It's more like an online VC perspective kind of thing, and there's still a lot of offline activities that that comes into play, you know. And for us is, if that's the case, what's the point of calling it crowdfunding? You know, because the idea of, I mean, I always say this when in my when I educate the public or different groups of entrepreneurs or investors, right? The concept of crowdfunding is not a new concept. Actually, it's been around many years. It's been it's just that with the advent of mobile technology, the internet, and social media, we are now able to reach out to more people and across borders, and people we don't even know who may resonate with what you're trying to propose, whether it be ideas or business proposition, right? And who want to support that, because previously it was just your own personal network, whether it's your family, your friends, and people who in your community. Yeah, but because of technology, you are now able to do more than that, or to reach out, more than that, right? So for us is we wanted to stay true to that, because if not, Amran, it's not scalable. And if it's not scalable, then how are you going to survive? If you are saying that, we are continuously going to reach out to just people within your community, at the end of the day, right, there's going to be investor fatigue, because how much can these people continuously invest over and over again?
So if I hear you right, what you're trying to say is, if you were to set up, since you do have that platform, you want the platform itself to be the true vehicle of crowdsourcing, as opposed to all the offline campaigns and roadshows that supports the company raising money. Is that right?
Yeah, and also, because people always say it like this, right? People always ask me, who are your investors? Because at the end of the day, right, if you look at the stakeholders, our two key stakeholders are entrepreneurs and investors. Okay, so which comes first? Okay, obviously, you need the entrepreneurs in order for investors to invest. But if you don't have investors to invest, there's no crowdfunding. There's no equity crowdfunding. Investors need to invest, right? And investors, they are not unique to us, They're not unique to Ataplas. They're not, they're not exclusive to us. So investors can come from anywhere in the world, and investors can go to bed with anybody. They can invest on my platform, they can invest in my competitors' platforms, and my competitors may not just be here, but maybe anywhere else, right? So that's my point, because and how would you access these investors? But having said that, it's also entrepreneurs themselves, because at the end of the day, how much can you, as a company, facilitate or support entrepreneurs? When we started the business, we noticed that, we observed that we were counseling them. We were doing a lot of counseling, right, to the entrepreneurs. So much so that we were like, then we stopped and we were like, oh my God, are we doing investment banker's job here?
But counseling in what respect?
Counseling from the business plan, to how to structure the offer. There's a lot of handholding, because you find that especially startups, entrepreneurs, and you look at the ecosystem, right? I would say 95% of, in general, anywhere in the world, 95% of companies who invest or who fundraise on equity crowdfunding are startup companies. And most startup entrepreneurs are young people, and who have no clue, no exposure on how to structure investment offers, right? So that is a big challenge, It's different, and most of them have, I'm sorry to say this, not very good company secretaries either, who need to advise them properly, and most of these company secretaries until today don't even know that crowdfunding exists or equity crowdfunding exists, and it's legal,
I mean, the company secretary function really in Malaysia anyway is just to help set up your company, register that, and that's it,
it's
right?
more than, I mean, but it's more than that. They have to understand, and we observe that a lot of these entrepreneurs, they don't understand the role of company secretaries beyond just setting up businesses or do your filing for you. You know, you want to issue new shares, when you want to look into M&A activities, you know, and all this, you know, they need to understand, right? And likewise, company secretaries also need to be mindful of how, you know, they need to advise these guys, you know, what they're supposed to do, right? And you don't want to be in a situation whereby, oh, we do all this and oh, we forgot company secretary is supposed to do this, you know, and it has happened before, you know. So, but anyhow, coming back to the crowdfunding. So for us is that, so at the end of the day, we need we can't be doing that as an equity crowdfunding platform. That's number one. Number two is because of okay, if we were to provide those kind of support, right? And then you look at the kind of the charging model, dia tak jive tau. You know, because we're not charging these companies like 200,000, 300,000, 500,000 like how investment bankers are charging for a listing, right, on Bursa Malaysia. We're just charging them, okay, a minimal amount for processing fee, and then there's a fundraising charge. Now, if the companies don't successfully fundraise, then we don't get anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to look at the business in the medium to long term. If not, it's not sustainable. So at the end of the day, it has to be, you know, it has to be supported by technology, because we are a technology company. This is a fintech company, right? Macam tu tak payah lah. Then I might as well just be either an accelerator or I just become a VC lah. You know, which makes more sense, right? And we are not even managing the money. It's not our money, you know. It's actually the crowd's money. And our role, as far as Ataplus is concerned, we want to support entrepreneurs, but at the same time, our role is to make sure that whatever they submit complies to the SE's compliance requirements. Yeah, in order for them to qualify to fundraise on the platform. Yeah, that's one. Number two is the other value add while you work with with a company like ours that's regulated with SE is that prior to this, they are not able to openly solicit investments from the public, right? Unless you're a public listed company. So now you can, right? So we always tell companies, so with us, you can just start printing flyers and go to supermarket. Okay, now you can invest in us, mari, you know? Yeah. But what Ataplus does is also we work with these businesses to work with them on how we market and promote the campaigns, right? And it's all about strategy, you know? It's all about strategy.
So coming back to your observation that a lot of the startups, when they're early on in the journey of fundraising, require a lot of hand-holding, right? And therefore, I mean, scalability is one thing lah. It's also the the effort that you need to put into all these individual companies. So how do you address that problem then?
I think it's quite. I mean, for us specifically, I mean, we have our certain way of screening the businesses as well, you know. So for us is even at the application stage, what we see in the last few years of operation is that the startups have challenges, especially when they want to submit their financial projections. Yeah. So the submission, I mean, that is one level of culling already, I would say, because they start the process, they start the application, because all our application is online, you see. So there's two parts of our application. The first part is very simple. You know, you just submit your statutory documentation, you know, okay, your SSM, blah, 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 your audit or your past audit. But then the second part is your business plan. And your business plan, there's two bits, right? Your actual, your business plan, whether it's Word document or your PowerPoint, but you must also fill up our online application. We have our online requirements, right? And at the same time, you must submit your financial projections. And we're pretty key in our Excel spreadsheet and we want to see the formulas, because we want to make sure it's consistent with your business plan, right? So most of the time, the part 1 tu semua lepas. They always get part 2. After that, a lot of them drop off. So that's one way of calibrating. So to me, that's one way of how we, sit through the applications. Okay. The ones that gets through are normally the good ones lah. Okay. The ones that's able to, and after that is more of how do we work with them on the pitch, the investment pitch. It's all about the storytelling. The storytelling is so important. Yeah, because the storytelling is not just about the story itself, but is a whole host of other key factors. Whether it's your investment offer, how you structure it, the minimum investment entry, your management team, how good the product is. It's a whole host. And even the person who pitches sometimes. Sometimes you can have the best story, but the person who's pitching is the wrong person, then it doesn't cut it either.
So how is the fundraising that in the last deal flow in the last, I was going to say couple of years, then I realized, okay, right now if I ask that, this moment is tough I guess, with all the COVID and all that. I assume it's tough, but is it?
Well, interestingly, there's no short of companies who want to fundraise in spite of COVID. And I can tell you, Amran, in the last, we've had the lockdown already exactly 14 days, right?
Yeah.
Today is the first day of next round.
Second
right?
batch, yeah, the second round.
Second round of the MCO. So even in the last 2 weeks, we've had regular meetings with the companies that's going to launch their campaign. In fact, we are going to have campaign launches next week already. People want to launch a during COVID, right? We've got a strategy for that. And we've had meetings with new companies who want to fundraise in spite of COVID, but I think the more pertinent question would be, are there people who want to invest? Because as we see it right now, we feel that mungkin people are hanging on to their wallets more tightly. Okay, so the question is, what would compel people to invest at this time? Okay, and we're going to test the waters next week, and we'll be able to let you know more after that. Yeah, because I think because of the lockdown, I think for us specifically, we are trying to look at the lockdown not as a problem, but more of an opportunity. How can we leverage on this lockdown? How can we turn this lockdown into something positive for our business, or even for the industry? So and I think in times like this is when I think people can be more creative and innovative to get themselves out of their situation. So this is how we're trying to I would say maximize on the time of the lockdown. And interestingly, I must tell you, because obviously everyone's working from home, right? Interestingly, my observation with my own team, very productive. We have a 3 times a day operations check-in at 10 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 5 o'clock. And they've been super productive, I guess, because nothing to do at home, right? Have to work.
They can't go out anyway.
Yeah, and boss check on them like 3 times a day, right? Yeah. And honestly, in between their meetings, okay, and for me personally, non-stop from 10 o'clock till like 6, okay? Really, right? And then after 6, then I have time for my workout, whatever lah, in the house, okay? But really, just full on since the 18th of March, so it's been quite incredible. So when people ask me, oh, aren't you bored? I'm like, no, I got no time to be bored, man.
Seems to be busier than normal.
Yeah, absolutely, which is, I'm like, okay, so the interesting part is that if this is going to be the new norm, can you imagine what will happen to the real estate business? Because then people are going to think, hey, kita tak payah ada office actually, really. So I think the virtual office business will actually boom.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, people would actually pay for Zoom now beyond 40 minutes.
For sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been having training online, directors training online for the last 3 days, and it's been like half a day, Zoom, Zoom share price has just gone through the roof.
I think so.
Yeah.
Actually, two things I wanted to ask before I forget. Number one, which we'll get back to is, as Ataplas itself, when you guys operate after the MCO, do you see this kind of working model something you can continue moving forward? But I want to go back to the companies raising funds right now. So surely there is an impact of the current COVID onto their projected business plans. Or isn't there? The ones that are raising funding, don't they see, any challenges to it?
No, I think interestingly, the ones that's launching their service, launching the campaign, I think their business will actually COVID-19 actually works well for their business.
Okay.
So actually, their business is the kind of businesses that during COVID it will make sense also. So with or without COVID, the business can exist. So it's not one of those companies whereby because of
it's not
COVID,
a property project lah.
No, yeah. So memang during COVID memang still boleh sustain dan memang boleh hidup. So it's not the kind of business yang because of COVID dah memang mampus and die. No.
Yeah. I guess it's a bit of luck lah, that the companies that are those kind of business models are the ones who are raising funds lah.
Yeah, it just so happened. Yeah. It just so happened. Yeah, and then even we've got a few more in the pipeline, which even with or without COVID, they can still sell their products and services. Because it's actually something that's needed, Yeah.
I guess then it goes back to your point that, okay, so here are companies who are still going to proceed with raising money. The question then is, are there investors who will invest right now?
Yeah, correct. So which is why what I'm telling you is that so next week we are going to test the waters, and then I'll be able to let you know week after.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. So how share a little bit how you're doing that, your virtual launch of the fundraising.
Tak boleh lah.
I think from a purely logistics standpoint.
Oh, logistics. Well, obviously it will be virtual. So everything will be on virtual mode. Everything, and in the past, you see, one thing great about, I would say, the way we operate, we've always operated on an integrated marketing standpoint. Whenever for each and every single one of our equity crowdfunding campaigns, so it's from PR to digital social media marketing to face-to-face pitching sessions. So it's always on that mode. So it's no different really. So maybe the only difference right now will be the face-to-face lah. It may no longer be physical face-to-face lah. Itu sahaja.
But are you going to use like Zoom or Facebook Live and things like that?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So we are looking at various strategies right now. We've always done Facebook Live before, but maybe right now it'll be a different way of doing it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so then the other question, the
I'll
first one
invite
was.
you. I'll invite you, Amran. I'll invite you.
I'll wait for my email.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, how many companies are you going to launch?
So we are looking at launching 4 maybe. 3 to 4.
Oh, ramai.
Yeah. Yelah, kalau buat pitching session, kalau satu je boring ah.
But you focus
Because I
on the
thought
investors' money.
So I invite you. No, but investors want to see a variety, right?
Of course, yeah.
So then is I do one after another. Kan menarik
Okay.
gitu.
Kan,
Yeah?
memang. Yeah. Looking forward to that. Next week,
Yeah.
just do it in a good time next week.
Cool.
And then the other question was, okay, so now that you've been operating more productively with your team,
Yes.
do you see this changing the way you would operate in normal times?
Yeah, so I was just thinking aloud that day, how much I'm paying rent for my office, right? Yeah. And honestly, prior to this, we were working on a virtual mode, prior to having a proper office, but we thought, okay, we said, as the business progressed, we want the team to be in one room because it would be more productive because and because also sebab kita nak discuss pasal confidential stuff, blah blah blah, right? But looking at how this past 2 weeks has worked tremendously well, I'm looking at having this conversation again with my team actually with the management in terms of maybe we should just work the way we are working right now, because it seems to be like really really number one, I told you, the observation in terms of productivity is pretty amazing, and secondly, it's also working out well in terms of meetings with the clients and the partners, so tak ada masalah sebab and I think also it helped with the technology being so sophisticated now, and you can leverage on a lot of freebies, online freebies like Hangout, and I think if this were to happen about a few years ago, I think it would be messed up because you can't even share documents, you tak boleh tunjuk, you can just talk, you can't even see. So what I mean, and I mean, and even the quality of the video, for example, when I'm talking to you right now, the quality is so good, right? Maybe obviously even broadband technology is not as fast as today, so and for that I think I'm thankful, and I think because of that also I think moving forward maybe it makes sense for this working from home kind of thing. And honestly, Amran, if you look at what the implications of COVID-19, not just to business operations but also to cultural interactions, if you look at sekarang, kita nak salam tangan pun kita takut, balik terus cuci tangan, no spray, whatever, mandi, what I mean? So everyone's getting very paranoid, so I was just telling my friends that maybe in future we no longer shake hands, maybe we hit bum or something, kan, sebab no one wants to touch. So it'll be interesting how it affects society, not just business,
Yeah. Although I was talking to some other organizations too, they were saying that it's true right now, the productivity is like through the roof, but it's also because the guys don't have a choice but to stay home.
True.
Okay? Maybe when, if we do this in the normal times, the guys can sneak off to go watch a movie or something instead.
But to me, it really depends on how you you structure it. That's why to me, that's why I kata kalau you macam sekarang kan, I kata I have 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock and 5 p.m. So imagine I only have a 10 o'clock, I don't have the 1, I have 5. In between tu bertidur ke apa tak tahu. Kan?
Yeah.
And that's number 1. Number 2 is, so the way we're doing it right now, everybody has got deliverables for the day. So it's very clear. So they have to do it. You know, and I think it helps because we're nimble, we're a small team. I think it's slightly more challenging if you do it like through a big organization. That's why even if it's a big, say for example Maybank lah, right? So I think you can do it within your teams. But kalau katalah your group CEO nak buat untuk semua, tak boleh lah. You know, dia kena small teams because every team have got deliverables. You know, then somehow you nak manage your KPIs and so on. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's agree. And I think you're right in terms of if we work on milestones and outputs anyway. It doesn't matter, especially for some of the developers and all that. They work at 3 a.m. anyway, right? So as long as you have your end of week milestones, they can work whenever they want as long as they produce, right?
Tapi I think for us because we are very lean, so every day ada je benda nak buat. So we work in a but developers, I agree. Developers, they're a different kind of animal, you know. They have their own working hours lah, you know. That one tak boleh ni lah.
Yeah. So how about looking forward a little bit, Atta Plus or your own other adventures beyond Atta Plus? What's the plans?
Don't lah say other adventures, then you will scare my partners.
Everybody has side hustles lah. It's okay.
Well, I must be honest that I have been approached by so many headhunters, you know, not just for positions in agencies and LCs, but also for others, you know, but also doing other projects. But for now, I'm pretty much focused on the company and the business. And I think for Ada Plus, you know, we do have regional aspirations, and what I can say right now is agri crowdfunding is not going to be the only product that the company will offer. So in future, I think you will see more products that will come out from the business, focusing on, at the end of the day, okay, whenever we look at developing new products, right, it always goes back to our value systems, you know, which is financial inclusion, helping entrepreneurs, and as well as democratizing wealth, you know. So making investments or investment products accessible to the simple man on the street, you know. So our future products, whenever we look at future products, it will always go back to those value systems. Yeah. So I think in terms of Ada Plus future, that's where we're looking at. Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about the regional aspirations? Since you mentioned it.
Well, I guess regional aspirations mean that, you know, we are looking at, of course, we want to build the brand strength, you know, throughout the region, and mainly for, you know, to access not just entrepreneurs, you know, but more so investors, you know. So we want to look into bringing more international or foreign investors onto the platform, because especially, for example, if we are able to access you know, investors whereby the countries have a stronger currency, right? So if they invest in Malaysian companies, you know, once you convert, you know, it's really pittance for them, you know. So that's one. And secondly, of course, looking at attracting international business, you know, exciting new international businesses who may want to fundraise through our platform within Malaysia. Yeah. So those would be the two angles. Yeah.
Sorry, for the foreign investors, is that technically something that cannot happen right now, or can but we haven't marketed it?
It can.
Can,
It
right?
can.
Hmm.
Yeah, it can. It can. But if you look at the statistics, right? In total, there's only 5%, 5 to 10% uh, investor proportion from national investors. So there's still a lot of room to grow.
Hmm.
You know?
Why do you think that is? Is it a question of the platforms being more active in marketing the fundraising outside Malaysia? Or is it just Malaysia's not that attractive enough for these guys yet?
No, I think it's just about marketing. They don't know.
Mm.
You know, you just need to be able to market to them, and so that they can access to these deals, right? So I would say majority of them don't know that they can, and they
Right.
don't know. They don't even know the companies. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Very good.
That's all I have from my side.
Uh-huh.
Thanks again for spending almost the hour.
Oh, well, is it over an hour already? Wow.
Almost an hour.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanna share, whether yourself or Atta Plus, moving forward or looking back? Or advice to people who want to actually raise money on your platform?
Well, actually, I want to mention this. When is this going to be at, by the way?
Probably in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. But what I want to say is this: we are now having a promo. Okay, we're having an offer that anyone who applies on our platform, submit an application on our platform during the lockdown period, there's a massive shave off in terms of our processing fee, for 888 to 3,000 ringgit. That's one. And secondly is I think for entrepreneurs is is to really look into coming up with a good business plan, and the financial projections has to be consistent with the business plan, and the financial projections needs to be in Excel spreadsheet and with the formulas. Okay, that's important. That's really important for us, because we just want to make sure consistency. We're not going to question whether your business model is right or wrong. It's not our place, because it's your business. Yeah, but for us is we want to make sure that whatever you say in the business plan is consistent to what is reflected in your numbers, right? Because at the end of the day, that is our role, to make sure that it is true and correct, right? And so that it fully complies to the SC requirements. Yeah. And entrepreneurs are always welcome to talk to us. We can counsel as much as we can. But there's a lot of tools on our platform. So I urge the entrepreneurs to look at our platform for all the tips, because what I observe, Amran, people ni malas nak baca. Really, there's a lot of information on our platform, really, and we provide a lot of tips and guide on how to write business plan, and even videos. We actually point them to different resources, and actually there's a lot of resources on the internet. Is whether the question is how resourceful are you? Do you nak cari ke tak nak cari? Sometimes I feel that there's a lot of people ada manja, nak orang tolong, nak orang belai,
Well, if they know the platform is going to respond anyway, right, and help out, then you tell me lah, rather than I do my own research, right?
Yeah, but be resourceful. Yeah, because it shows a lot, as a company, right? Yeah. And for investors pula, what I want to mention is, look at our campaigns, and these are companies that are accessible to you, because the investment can range from anywhere from like 100 ringgit right up to minimum investment can be 5,000-10,000 depending. Yeah. But these are good companies. These are companies yang have a lot of potential. But the question is, you know, whether you have the funds and how you want to diversify your investments. Don't just invest in one company. You know, invest in different companies, and you'll never know. One can, you know, one of them can be a unicorn. The rest maybe can give you an attractive enough returns, but be mindful of the risk. So always, you know, look at the investment proposition, look at their info memo, look at their deal page. You know, if there's any questions, they can, you know, you can always ask, because there's our discussion board. You can even email the founders directly, you know, but always read and understand what you're investing in. Very, very important. Never invest in something you don't understand.
Yeah. Actually, just one last question before we go. If for a company that wants to raise funds, what do you say is the typical timeline between the point when they connect with you and the point when they can actually go out there and raise?
You see, companies always ask us this, you know, and we always give them our timeline, and we always say this. This would be the timeline, you know, as long as you submit your full documentation on time. And most of the time, the documentation is not complete. Yeah, so that's always the case. Very rare lah, you know, we have companies yang submit everything perfect, you know. Yeah.
So what is the ideal and what's the reality?
Okay, the ideal, I would say, from the moment they submit and then we screen them, is paling cepat pun dalam 3 weeks. Okay. And then we take another 1 to 2 weeks to look at their marketing content. Okay. And that also depends on them too, you know, because they've got to come back with their content to be posted on the platform and the video as well. So in total, I would say paling cepat from the point of submission lah, paling cepat probably dalam 1.5 bulan lah, paling cepat. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, back to the offer that you were talking about. Yeah. So that offer is for companies that engage you in the next couple of weeks lah, or if the MCO gets extended.
Yes, correct. So, I mean, as long as they submit the application during MCO, that's the offer. But we may extend it lah. Kita tengok dulu keadaan. But at the moment, the offer is for submission during the MCO.
What's your guess? Are we going to be staying home for the end of the month or no?
Saya rasa sampai hujung bulan. If you ask me lah, because I think to be safe, I think till the end of the month, because I think what the government is looking at really on you know, the number of cases going down. I think that's the priority, I think, for the country, you know. And I really, really hope people are staying home. And please stay home, and make sure you stay home and don't have parties at home. Because I heard of people doing that, you know, because they cannot tahan and they
invite people over.
Yeah, I mean, defeats the bloody purpose, isn't it? Ayo, go have party virtually lah, you know.
Although the best, you know, like everybody's sharing videos and all that, right? The best one that I saw was that guy who got stopped at the roadblock and said he had to go buy beer, right? Because if he doesn't, yeah, that was what I'll forward to you. Apparently, he says he cannot sleep without beer, so he has to go buy beer.
Oh my God! And did he get arrested?
No, he went through. So maybe it's a guy going to the party, but I don't know.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because I know some people are really going bonkers, you know, but, you know, I mentioned this, you know, I mean, it's a different kind of war we're fighting here, you know, and we can't stop this thing. And the government is just asking you to stay home, you know. The government is not asking you to carry machine guns, you know, or bulldozer to go to the battlefront, you know. They just need you to stay home and to just do this for your country. Please lah.
Yeah.
Because,
Anyway,
yeah.
true.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, all
Thank
the
you so
best.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah.
Let me see if
And,
I can edit it fast enough so that it comes out while your offer is still on.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much. You take
Okay,
care,
then.
Amran.
Hey, you too. Stay home. Stay safe.
Yeah. Yeah, you too. Take care. See you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Joining
Hear me
me.
well? Sorry. Do you hear me well, or should I put on the headphones?
Right now is good.
Okay, fine. Cool.
More comfortable, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
The laptop, don't put it on your lap, nanti dia goyang-goyang.
Okay. So, is it better?
That's better. I can hear you too.
Okay. Aku pakai makeup, okay? And I pause proper. Bloody hell.
sorry.
So saya menyahut seruan Menteri Wanita. Jadi saya pakai makeup, saya elok kan. Tapi aku tak ada lelaki, so it's okay.
Until I sidai your kain, then you can speak in Doraemon terms lah.
Okay.